So I think this is a trend you guys are going to keep seeing. Japanese gloves sold by American companies with easy access, because the biggest problem is it's hard. If you don't speak Japanese or read Japanese, it's hard to get a Japanese glove.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mizuno is consistently selling more. Side note, the Mizuno Hagas are heavenly. But then
Special.
Jax is a great example. And then...
So in your mind, Chris, the purpose, when people talk about the Japanese baseball glove, is it so much a geography thing? Is it this glove is made in Japan? Or is it more of like an intention thing where it says this glove is made for a Japanese player? What are your thoughts on that? All right, I'm joined in studio today with one of the favorite people within the glove community. I have the ball glove king, Chris Bangert, with us today, and we're going to be discussing a topic that has been on my mind a lot recently. So there is a term going around that has interested me a lot. To be honest, Chris brought the term to me and got me to start thinking about it a lot a number of months back. But we're going to be discussing Japanese baseball gloves. So first off, welcome onto the show, Chris.
Very glad to be here.
Yeah,
I feel important today. Thank you.
And Chris, you're a repeat guest on the show, so
it's kind of a big deal.
I know, I guess so. So welcome back. But Japanese gloves, I'm really fascinated by them. Most people, you take a look at a baseball glove, and most people are just going to look at it and say a baseball glove is a baseball glove is a baseball
Absolutely.
glove, and that's okay. But there is so much more to them, and I think when people look at the Japanese gloves, especially if you have a special eye, you're going to be able to tell the difference after a little bit. So in your mind, Chris, the purpose, when people talk about the Japanese baseball glove, is it so much a geography thing? Is it this glove is made in Japan? Or is it more of like an intention thing where it says this glove is made for a Japanese player? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there could be a little bit of both. There's definitely a reality where Japanese players are just a little bit smaller than the average American player.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's so much more than that. Basically, Japanese gloves, just like everything made in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
they have so much passion about and respect for anything that says made in Japan.
Okay.
And so, with that being said, there's very little things that'll come out of Japan that have are put together lazily.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's super obvious. The leather's nice, sure, but it's just every single stitch. It sounds like, well, almost cheesy, but it's true. Put together so well. And so, yeah, you can, after getting along with it, if you've been around gloves for a while, you can pick up a Japanese glove and know the difference and tell that it's a Japanese glove without seeing that it's from Japan.
For those watching on YouTube, so I have Chris is here. He has a made in Haga glove right here. And he's correct. I think he almost saw a tear in his eye as well as he was describing just how every stitch is they think about. But no, I put this glove on and you can tell right away that it is definitely different than your regular American baseball glove. One of the things that I really enjoyed, I recently came across this channel, Walden Glove, and he did such a great job of explaining that. So right here now, I have a Wilson, that glove that I would say it's built for an American type player. So it's going to be built with this really big pocket, and it's kind of U.S. players. We want to field everything with one hand. We want to do backhands and have like a really deep pocket. And in Japan, they don't quite play the infield the same way that we do. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In the US, comfort is like the top priority.
Okay.
And in Japan, it's just like performance, like what's going to perform the best. And so that shows through in the way they play defense, but specifically with how the glove is shaped and how it's built. There's definitely a difference. I would generally err on the side of Japan. Like, I think they do it better.
Really?
I think that it is a better approach to think, what's the best way to catch the ball and then get it to my hand versus what's the most comfortable way to catch the ball. It just slowly leads to a problem of like slower defense.
Yeah. And that's I like how you said that the way you mentioned, like the way that they play, it's probably probably a little bit better, more fundamentally sound. I'm going to drop another name, sorry, but I had a conversation recently with the Glove Lab, and he was mentioning
Yes.
the big difference that he notices is like we like the one-handed play here in the United States. He said there everything is very two-handed
Yeah. Oh,
there,
absolutely.
and that makes a big difference in how they're going to make their gloves as well.
Yeah, and what's really cool is if you find videos online, it's from day one. Like their T-ball kids
Okay.
are so disciplined. It's
Okay.
wild.
So do you know this is interesting. So here in the United States, like we're buying a glove for our kid that just started playing baseball. And sometimes it's made of pigskin leather or something like really cheap. I'm gonna guess that in Japan that's not how their T-ball player is starting off with like a really cheap like $30 glove or something like that.
I would be so fascinated, but I know from what I've seen here, we want it to be as soft as possible so
Yeah.
that a kid can wrap their, whole glove around the ball.
Uh-huh.
But I'm picturing like videos I've seen, even their little kids are trained. You don't need to close the glove.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have somewhat nicer leather. At one point, you got to just drop it down.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little kid can't break in this like steer hide, kip leather, and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
that would actually be really fun to look into.
I know. I would be interesting to know because just with they respect everything, all
Yeah.
their everything. They have. It seems as though their society is based a lot on respect. So it's like buy them a nice glove early, teach them how to take care of it would kind of be what I would wonder if that's kind of what they subscribe to. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with the design of the glove, the way that it's going to close, I like to think of it as like a claw is kind of how the glove closes. So if you like look at my hand here, it's like you can close the Mizuno glove simply just going like that with your hand on the inside of it. And if you wanted to as well, you can close the pinky like so the pinky side of the glove closes independently of the palm, and then also the thumb side can do it too. Where with this glove, I can like everything has to close together with
Yeah,
this
yeah,
glove. You can't really the thumb a little bit I can close on its own, but the pinky everything's coming over. So
yeah,
I always think that that's kind of cool when I've seen those gloves how independently you can move those parts of it is pretty neat.
absolutely. I have some gloves at home where I've broken them in with that exact intention.
Uh-huh.
Like, I want this to feel like there's 5 fingers,
Mhm.
not just one slap close of
Yes.
a glove.
Uh-huh.
Totally makes a huge difference, but you have
Yeah.
to be super intentional about how you're breaking it in, and it starts with the glove, If I tried doing it with, like, that glove, an EL3, it really wouldn't work the same as me doing it with something like this. I've done it with some other Japanese, Korean gloves, and,
Mhm.
it's a world of a difference.
Yeah. No, that's pretty wild. And then also, I wish there's not really a way to show this on screen. But that glove that you have, that made in Haga, it is so light. Like just you can move that thing around. Oh, it's fantastic.
It's confusing how light it is.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I picked it up, I didn't have really words. I think
Uh-huh.
one of my favorite quotes ever is
Uh-huh.
my brother picking it up and playing catch with it, and what he said was, he's like, "This feels special," and I was like, "Yes, yes, yes." And so he's not like this huge glove nerd or anything,
Uh-huh.
but even he was able to tell, like, this is unique, and that's an awesome, awesome quote.
That is great. Yeah, because especially coming from like, if you pick it up and you go, "This is
Yeah,
special," it's like,
exactly.
well, you worry about gloves all day. And worry is a bad term. You love gloves all
No, I
day.
like worrying.
And but yeah, it's neat that someone with maybe not as much background as you picked it up and knew right away that like
Yes,
this
yes.
is different. So that's
That's
pretty
that's
cool.
when you know there's like a whole nother tier.
Uh-huh.
If someone can pick it up who doesn't actually care and notice, that's an incredible, incredible way to show it.
Nice. That's cool. But yeah, and then also I think probably maybe a little bit related to that the lightweight. I learned this from watching a Walden Glove video was they were talking about the internals just
Yeah.
real fast. I imagine that the internals make a big difference in the weight as well, just how
Yeah.
it's gonna hold up. Go ahead.
Chris Petrov. He actually was in a Sports Illustrated magazine, which is
Okay.
wild.
Uh-huh.
And there's a quote. I'm gonna botch it,
Okay.
but I read it today, and it was like, a glove can have the best leather in the world, but if it has average insides, it's an average glove.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's an amazing quote. If you don't care about the inside, the leather, the rest of it doesn't matter.
Really? Nice. That is wild. But yeah, kind of moving forward, I'm pretty excited. There's a ton of exposure around the gloves that are made in Japan right now. With Mizuno, they're coming out with their recent line. that's included a few their Made in Haga series. You also did a video a couple months back, including a Jack's glove that looks like that's going to be available here on the US side a lot easier now
Yes.
too.
So I think this is a trend you guys are going to keep seeing. Japanese gloves sold by American companies with easy access, because the biggest problem is it's hard. If you don't speak Japanese or read Japanese, it's hard to get a Japanese glove.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mizuno is consistently selling more. Side note, the Mizuno Hagas are heavenly. But then
Special.
Jax is a great example. And then there's some other companies that I know of that are in the process of working on it. And so super awesome. It's kind of a big deal.
Nice. No, it's going to be exciting to see how it moves forward. And then to see as well if there's going to be some of our big name brands maybe try to move to a glove that is specifically going to have this type of design.
Yes.
If it'll catch on in the US.
So. Yeah. I mean, another great example, like 44. For years, I believe their most popular glove is the Japan Select, which is the Japanese model. It is just a normal 44. It just has a different shape, so it doesn't change a whole lot. But people know that Japanese gloves are good, so they're buying it because they think they're getting something more special. It shows where the market's going. It shows people are interested in it.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. Thank you again for everybody for sitting on in this expert chat of the Beyond the Glove podcast. If you guys like this episode, if you enjoy these more expert chat type conversations, definitely leave a comment on our YouTube video. Also give it a thumbs up. And if you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple, definitely give us the 5-star rating. We'd appreciate it a lot. Have a great day.